Morning, everyone. We got the Club Oceania tournament this week in Golf Clash. Um, this will be my rookie guide for this tournament. This tournament's played on 3 different courses. You got 5 holes on Namhe Cliffs, you got 2 holes on the Oasis course, and you got 2 holes as well on the Gokasho Bay course. I think there's lots of eagle opportunities on these courses, starting off with hole number 1. Before I go into that, there is a new ball this week, the Oceania ball. This is one of those really interesting balls. I don't typically spend money on the game, but if there's a Power 5 ball, like the Turbo ball, or a Wind Resistance 5 ball, such as this ball, I will get some of those because these balls are very useful in Expert and Masters tournaments. I wouldn't really recommend using them in Rookie or Pro because the wins are already pretty low. But if you plan on playing an Expert or Masters in the future, you definitely might consider picking some of these up because they reduce the win by 55%. So in Masters, that'll get your win down to 6 or 7 miles an hour, which is a huge advantage. They also have side spin of 3, so that can be pretty useful as well. Going on to hole number 1. Hole number 1, I think we'll be able to go for the green, so I'm going to go with extra mile. And then I think Titan ball is probably the way to go here as well, but we may be able to use like a quasar or something. We'll just have to see. So 3.6 miles per hour. You're going to want to use as much top spin as you have and maybe just a bit of right spin. And probably only really need to overpower this just a little bit to make it clear the rough. Hopefully we can catch the fairway. Oh, yeah, that's actually too much. So, yeah, it looks like you probably don't need to use any top spin at all, or any overpower at all. As you can see, it's pretty significantly downhill on that shot, so you can probably just overpower or use your regular power and full top spin and be just fine. And maybe a little bit more right spin than I used. See how our opponent does here. If I was him, I wouldn't use much overpower either. He has a little bit more distance on his driver, but I think that should be pretty good as far as distance goes. It's going to be a little bit short. So I think with a Titan ball and no overpower, or maybe a quasar ball with just a little bit of overpower, I think that should be really all you need for this. So we'll see if we can't chip this in. So that looks pretty close. Screwed that one up, but like I said, this is a hole that you're definitely gonna wanna get an eagle on if you're gonna compete for a banner in this tournament. There's 3 par 5s plus this hole, so I think that's four eagle opportunities at least that you're gonna want to get for this tournament. So I think 13 under is gonna be a pretty solid score. See if our opponent can't chip it in. So a little unfortunate not to get that first hole, but it is just the qualifying rounds. So learn from our mistakes on that hole and see if we can improve and make sure we get that hole in the opening and weekend rounds. Trying to think. Yeah, I think it's just the 3 par 5s and then this hole that you're really going to want to eagle, and then anything else you can get on top of that is just going to be icing on the cake. But yeah, I think 26 to 28 under probably be a reasonable score to if you're trying to get a banner or maybe win this tournament. So this is hole 5 in the tournament. I think this is going to be pretty close to the wind that we get as well. I think I saw this hole earlier this week, and I think it's going to be a kind of a no topspin shot, just a no topspin, actually no spin at all probably, and just try to let the ball roll towards the hole. So take this opportunity and see if I can't get this shot dialed in before we actually play it. So if we set up right here, just let it bounce on the fringe right there, or in the fairway. And then I think with this thorn, you do overplay this wind, so I'm probably going to play about 2 rings. But see how that looks, and then we can use that to determine how we're going to play it once we actually get to the hole. So that looks pretty good, so I don't think any spin is going to be needed. I think we really just need to hit perfect ball on that, and going to be pretty close. I think that's going to be pretty similar to the wind that we actually see on number 5. So, but anyways, moving on to hole number 2, which is going to be the first Gokasho Bay hole, the par 5. So I think I'm gonna go with Guardian in case we need that, and then I'm gonna go with Backbone for my iron, and both of those are about 1.7 per ring. And then I think I'm gonna stick with a Titan. I think I prefer not to do a bounce shot. I prefer to just fly it over to the second fairway if possible. So we'll see. See how the wind looks and see how far an extra mile 4 gets us down there. Because it would be nice if we did need to bounce it right here. Yeah, I don't think we'll have to. I think it'd be nice to just take that variable out of play and just not have to worry about catching the rough on that first bounce. So I would not play it out here to the left like this. I don't think any low-level clubs are gonna have enough curl to get it all the way back to the right enough. So I would either use this bounce shot like this, or yeah, we're not quite far enough. So I'm gonna go full top spin and right spin. Set up something like this. And then I'm gonna play about 2 rings, I think, for this wind. We don't really need any curl because we already got the wind helping us go to the left. And we put the side spin on the Titan as well, so it'd have been nice to not catch that rough, but I just don't have enough top spin on this extra mile, so it's gonna put us a little bit farther back there. I think we'll have to hit the Guardian on the second shot, but that's still not a big deal or anything. This is actually gonna be a pretty decent shot at making an albatross on this hole, so see if we can't get that shot dialed in. So typically what I do, this is going to be a side wind shot, and so to offset that wind, typically what I'll do is I will use some side spin to offset that. So I'm going to go maybe a half bar of backspin and 1 bar of side spin. Usually about 1 bar of side spin per every 3 or 4 miles an hour. And then try to line it up with the hole as best you can. And then from here, at 1.7 per ring, I'll play about a ring and a half. Not even close. So, easy eagle there, but my perfect ball timing isn't very good this morning. Just need to wake up a little more, I think. But, like I said, easy eagle. Nothing wrong with that, especially in the qualifying rounds. Really, I'm just trying to get 12 or 13 under in this qualifying round and make sure that I make it and give myself just a decent qualifying round. The tiebreaker from the qualifying round isn't too important. You really want to have a good opening round tiebreaker. So you're going to want to shoot your second best round in the opening round and then save your best round for the weekend round. But there is a chance that your qualifying round could become part of the tiebreaker if you have the same weekend round score and opening round score as someone. So I don't think you should take it too lightly, but I'm not going to take it too seriously either. I'm not going to not finish this round just because I didn't eagle number 1. So moving on to hole number 3. This is going to be the second and final Gokasho Bay hole. And we'll be either using a long iron or possibly even a short iron. I'm just going to use a marlin ball. I may use a navigator if we end up between clubs or something, but definitely don't need a power ball for this hole of any sort. So yeah, I think we'll be able to use an iron for this hole. So there's a pretty easy way to play this hole to get a really easy birdie. It's kind of hard to actually get the hole in one just because this green slopes right to left pretty severely. So I'm going to use both bars of right side spin on the marlin ball and maybe a little bit of curl as well, just to try to get the ball moving from left to right, so that when it falls back down that slope to the left, I'll give myself a chance to make the hole in one. And then I believe with the iron shot, I believe it's about 1. So full side spin. And yeah, I'm going to go full side spin, full top spin. See how that looks. And then at 1.7 per ring, I'm going to play about 3 rings. And then just a little bit of right curl. Let's see how that works. Not quite enough, so I may need to use a little bit different iron. If I had about 1 more bar of topspin, that would have rolled down off of that hill and started rolling towards the hole. So that's really all it's about, is getting it over that little hill and letting it start to funnel down towards the hole. So let's see if I can hit a little bit better chip shot than I did on hole number 1. So I'm going to aim a little bit right, because like I said, the green does slope a little bit left to right, or right to left, I mean. And my perfect ball timing is still not very good, but did manage to save that one. So, yeah, if you have an iron that has a little bit more topspin, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, maybe a Goliath. It's probably going to have those 3 bars of topspin that I think you're going to need, 3 to 3.5 bars of topspin. So, I think a Goliath may be a good choice to use on that hole. If you have a backbone that has a little bit more, it's a little bit more leveled up than a level 5, you should be able to take advantage of that. So this is going to be the Oasis Par 3 hole. And this is kind of how I'm going to play it. Well, didn't even get a chance, but I will be going with Guardian on that hole. I believe it's hole number 7. So the next hole is hole number 4, which is the Namahe Cliffs, Par 5. So I'm going to go with the big dog here. And I don't have good backspin on any of my drivers. Any of my drivers that have enough distance. So I'm going to go with the quarterback on this hole. I'm going to go play it up to the left side. And just try to get it way up there on the left side. And then from there, the big dog should have enough distance to carry us over to the green on the second shot. So that'll be how I plan to play this hole for now, at least. Just because I don't really have a club with good backspin to land on the island. I don't think in rookie, I don't think you can bounce it over the island onto the fairway on the other side, just because the tee is so close to since you're hitting from the front tee, the ball isn't really flying far enough and isn't going to have enough momentum to bounce all the way over to that second fairway, so I don't think that's really even worth trying. But really where we want to get to on this drive is sort of where our opponent is right here, to the end of these shadows. So we'll see with the quarterback and the Titan ball, we'll see if we can make it all the way down there or not. So I'm going to go full top and right spin. And kind of just aim here in the middle, and I'll use a little bit of curl as well. An extra mile is also a pretty good option on this hole. Just don't get too risky with it. Don't put yourself in the don't take the chance of putting yourself in the rough by trying to overpower too much. I think where I landed or where my opponent landed is fine. Just sort of aim for the edge of those shadows that you can see right there. And then as you can see, we're both gonna pretty easily be able to make it over to the green. This would be a nice hole to albatross, but it's not a very likely albatross, just because you can't make it all the way over to the to that second fairway, I don't think, in rookie. So no need to get too risky in my opinion. Just take your eagle and move on to the next hole. So as you can see, we got plenty of distance to make it over here to the second fairway. I'm going to go full right spin. I don't think It's kind of hard to tell. I don't think I need any topspin. Probably going to aim about right there and just see how that works out. See how it works out on the qualifying round, and then as I get to the opening round and the weekend round, I can sort of fine tune on that. But as you can see, that's pretty good right there. I think if I just play it like that way every time, I may get lucky and make it once. So that's really good enough for me on this hole. I'm not trying to make an albatross on this hole, but if I happen to make one, definitely take it. So, got the first two par fives, and then the last par five is going to be kind of difficult, so it's definitely going to be a good par five to get if you can. But like I said, I think the goal here, really in rookie, is to get hole number 1, 2, 4, and 9. If you can get the eagles on the par fives and hole number 1, I think that'll put you in a pretty good position. I think this hole right here, I'm going to give this one another shot, because this is the hole that we're about to play. But I think from what I saw last time, I think no topspin, and then just really it's just all about lining it up correctly and hitting perfect ball. But I think this hole is actually going to be a pretty decent hole in one opportunity on rookie. So, same thing as last time. I'm going to try to land where my bounce hits the fairway, and then just a little bit to the right of the hole. And play maybe just a little bit more than 2 rings. And we'll see if that one isn't a little bit closer. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to take to make it. That little hill just funnels to the left right there, so maybe we just need to aim a little bit more right. Or maybe just put a little bit of right spin on it. I'm not sure which. So, as you can see, we need a short iron on this hole. I really like the accuracy of the Hornet, so I'm going to go with that. And I think a marlin ball will be fine. And we'll see if we can't get lucky and make a hole in one this time. So we actually have a headwind. So I'm going to go half bar topspin and 1 right spin. Aim sort of right there. And then I'm going to go about 4 rings on my adjustment. And we'll see if that bar of right spin helps us get a little bit closer. Yep. So, I think that's how you're going to have to get this one, I think, because that hill right in front of the hole, I think you're going to have to put a little bit of right spin on it to get it to go in. Because it just wants to fall left once it gets over that hill. So, in order to kind of offset that a little bit and offset the wind a little bit, just that 1 bar right spin, I think. Our opponent's going to go with no spin, so we'll get one more look at this and see if the spin's necessary or not. I I think he was lined up pretty good. But yeah, you can just see once it gets over that hill, it just wants to fall just a little bit to the left. So if you have that little bit of right spin on it, it'll keep it on line a little bit better, I think. So I think that's how I'm going to play that one. Hole number 6. This is kind of a hard hole. Not that it's hard to make a birdie, but in order to give yourself a chance at making eagle, it's just hard to put yourself in the far enough down there. So what I'm gonna try to do, I think I'm gonna play the iron shot. So I'm gonna use a katana ball, and I think I'm gonna try to leave myself far enough back that I can use my backbone and try to do a rough bump that way. Because it's kind of hard in rookie. You just don't have enough topspin on any of your clubs to get down there far enough to do the short iron rough bump. And so really the only way you're going to be able to get over there is if you get really aggressive and do like a max overpower, max backspin, and max left spin shot with your extra mile, or yeah, probably with your extra mile. So I think I'm just gonna kind of lay up just a little bit and try to go with this with the backbone. Make sure that I'm not in between clubs or anything like that. So I think I may try this actually. Go full top spin and left spin, and then kind of from right here, I'm just gonna eyeball about 2 rings maybe, and somewhere over here, maybe just a little bit of left curl, and I think if I hit that right, I think what that'll allow us to do is sort of the same thing. We'll still be in backbone range, but it's just really hard to make it over there on that left side with the wind like this. It's just kind of an awkward wind. And here you see one of these new Oceania balls. I don't think it's necessarily a good use on this hole. You're not really trying to... Well, it could be decent on your second shot if you can make it down there to a good spot, because it reduces the wind, like you can see. We had 4.4 in wind and he has 2.7, but it really takes away some of the distance on your drive because it's a power 0 ball. So as you can see, I mean, he's not gonna have much wind on the second shot, but he's gonna have to hit a wood just to make it to the green. So let's see. So we actually are in hornet range. So I'm gonna go about, looks like 1.5 top spin and a little bit of right spin. And I'm gonna play this right at about 3 rings. This club is 1.4 per ring, so it's a little bit of an under adjustment, but this hole is a little bit uphill, so you don't really need your full adjustment. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think you need about 3 topspin with a short iron. I think we were having like a little bit of a glitchy ball guide, but yeah, I think you need 3 from what I remember to get the short iron to the hole. So definitely take note of that going forward. as you can see, our opponent still is going to be able to reach the green, but he's going to have a hard time stopping the ball before it gets to the hole. So he's not really going to have too great of an opportunity. Well, not too bad actually. So I definitely wouldn't recommend laying that far back though. Your chances of making the two are much better with a short iron or a backbone. I honestly didn't think I was even going to be in hornet range, but I think that's a pretty darn good way to play that hole actually. Just going right, it really takes the risk of landing in the rough out of the way. As long as you can hit a perfect ball or great ball, and I think it gives you a really good shot at making a two from over there. So came into this hole thinking I was going to play that way, but I'll definitely play out to the right. So I don't remember if I still have the Guardian on or not, but the Guardian is what I'm going to be playing on this next hole. This is the next hole. This is hole number 7. So I'm going to take this practice shot right here and try to get it a little bit dialed in. Hopefully I have the Guardian on. I think I may have Viper though. So for this hole in the tournament, I'd highly recommend the Guardian. If you have one, even level 1. This hole is really, really difficult to make a hole in one on. So really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that I can get my birdie. So I'm going to aim something like that. And then this club is 2 per ring. So I'm going to go about 1.5 rings. And we'll see how that looks as far as the ball guide and lining up goes. That's not too bad. So with Guardian, we'll have a little bit more backspin. I'm assuming this hole may be like a side wind or something for the actual tournament. So we got kind of lucky there with the Viper because we had a headwind, so it slowed our ball down. But definitely for the actual hole, I'm going to go with Guardian. Just to make sure that I can stop the ball before the hole. So 1.7 per ring on the Guardian. And I believe I'm going to need at least a navigator. Hopefully we won't need to waste, I won't say waste, but hopefully we won't need to use a Titan. But I'm not sure. Not sure why we're having such a hard time finding opponents in rookie, but so let's see how this wind looks. So it is downwind, which is good. With it being downwind, we can use the navigator, as you can see. I'm gonna aim kind of right here. I'm gonna try that spin combination. So I think it's about 5.5 backspin. And 1 left spin. And see how that goes. That may come up short. I'm not sure. Yeah, just a little bit short on that one. So I may take off that half bar backspin, may go with just 5 on backspin and 1 in left spin. I like that shot though because like I said, if you play, we'll see if this guy hits this shot or not, but as you can see, he's kind of in between clubs. Yeah, and even with a Viper, he's not going to be able to stop the ball at the hole, so I think he's going to have a hard time not landing in the rough on this hole. Yeah. So I think Guardian's the way to go on this hole. It gives you a sure thing birdie, which is the main thing that you want on this hole. Like I said, this is a really hard par 3. This is the second time. This is the second tournament that we've had this hole. And I know definitely like an expert and masters, like tons of people were making pars on this hole. So that's really all you want on this hole, is to make your birdie. And if you can give yourself a good opportunity to make a hole-in-one like we did, even better, you know. So the next hole, hole number 8, is going to be the, I believe it's going to be the Namhe Cliffs par 4. I think in maybe like the expert or maybe masters division, I think you can go for the green on this hole. I don't think we're going to be able to do that in rookie, though. So I think I'm going to use a quarterback. And I'm just going to try to set myself up for... Yeah, I think I'm going to set myself up for a Hornet shot, which is 1.4 per ring. So the reason I'm using the quarterback on this hole is the only goal on this tee shot is to hit the fairway. And so there's just no need to try to get super far down there with an extra mile or anything like that. So with the quarterback, pretty much as long as I set up correctly, I should end up in the fairway. Just because the accuracy on that club is so high, you'd have to almost miss the bullseye completely to miss the fairway. We're still having trouble getting opponents on rookie, which is weird. Try restarting real quick. Shouldn't ever really have trouble getting opponents to play on rookie, so I'm not sure if maybe my internet connection's not the best or what, but maybe there's just not many people playing right now, but I've just never had a problem getting opponents on rookie before. So, kind of surprisingly, we have a headwind. Wasn't really expecting that in rookie, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. So that's just perfect right there. That's kind of where we want to land as well. Give us a nice clean shot up to the green. And the nice thing about this wind is your second shot's going to be directly into the wind. So you shouldn't have to adjust too much. So kind of what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for right here. And I'm just going to go about, it's kind of an angled wind, so I'm going to go about 3 rings over. Which I think is about right there. So I think that'll be just fine. Like I said, as long as you don't hit a good ball or something like that, I think the quarterback will get you to the fairway just fine. The thing I worry about with extra mile is if you do hit a great ball or something, there's a potential that you could miss the fairway depending on how you're lined up. So yeah, so if you can see where our opponent landed, this is exactly where you want to land your tee shot. He is directly into the wind. It's going to give you the best shot to make this shot. Unfortunately, he didn't quite make his adjustment quite right, but that is absolutely what you want to do right there. So I think this is 1.4 per ring. I'm going to play one side spin and one backspin. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where it's going. But I'm going to play about a ring and a half. The reason I use side spin there is kind of offset the wind just a little bit. The wind's blowing right to left, and so the side spin kind of, once your ball bounces for the first time, it kind of helps straighten it out. It helps the wind stop guiding it over from right to left. So that's all I was trying to do with that one right side spin. But as you can see right there, I'm trying to think if I have a short iron with a little bit better ball guide. Because I think the only problem there is I really couldn't tell exactly where I was aimed. But no harm, no foul. So, since we are here on this hole, I will show one more way to play this hole. If you have a guardian, I'm going to go full backspin and full right spin, just about a ring and a half, something like that. And I don't think this is going to necessarily give you too good of a shot at a hole-in-one. I hit the side of that hill, so it wasn't close at all. But it does assure that you won't land in the bunker or anything like that. Hitting way back like I did on hole number 3, there's a chance of landing in the bunker, as long as you hit a good ball, or sorry, not a good ball, a perfect ball or a great ball. I don't think you'll land in the bunker, but if you wanna just make a sure birdie, then that guardian shot's a good way to go about it. Just because it takes the bunkers out of play, but it also does make the hole-in-one not impossible, but pretty close. So we'll move on to the last hole here. This is going to be the Namahe Cliffs, par 5. The second one of those. You really can't go wrong with the Viper or the Guardian here. I'm going to go with the Viper because it's got a little bit more ball guide. I don't know if it's going to help us necessarily, but put it on just to see if that little bit extra ball guide might help us. But from the rookie tees, you definitely can still stick with the quarterback on this hole. This hole, you have some options on this hole. You can go left on the drive, and it makes your second shot easier. But going left on the drive is kind of risky. If you go right on the drive, like I'm gonna do, your drive is really easy, but your second shot is a little bit more difficult. So it's just kind of a matter of what your opinion is, what your preference is really. Would you prefer to have an easier drive or second shot? So I'm gonna go with about 1 backspin there. I'm gonna go 1.5 at least. You want to get down there, but you definitely don't want to. You don't want to get too risky. Yeah, so that's perfect. So, if you saw where I aimed, I think 1.5. I think even 2 backspin is perfectly fine. You just want to get down there in the rookie division, because you're not gonna have the clubs in the rookie division to make it to the green easily if you don't make it at least a little ways down there. So here you can see the left shot. I think he's probably gonna go in the water. I think he's aimed too close to the edge. But he's gonna have to use a ton of curl, like every ounce of curl that he's got, in order to get left of those bunkers. Like I said, I think this is gonna go in the water. Oof, just barely. So that did work out pretty well for him. I think if he would have gotten a better bounce on the first bounce, I think he probably would have ended up in the bunker, which is a no-go. So with the Viper, I think I'm gonna go 3 backspin, full left spin, and then at 2 per ring, I need to adjust about 1.5 rings. And I don't think that's going to go in or anything like that, but it's going to be a really easy eagle, which is it's really what you want on this hole. I think I've made albatross on this hole maybe once, maybe twice. It's not an easy hole to albatross. If you are going to the left on the drive, you probably should go with a little island bounce. You can see the little island over there. I would bounce off of that. I wouldn't do this. He's almost surely going to go in the rough. Maybe not. But there's no way he's going to get even close to being far enough left without using max curl. So I do expect this to end up a little bit to the right. And yeah, in the rough. So it's best to not put yourself in that situation. If you're gonna go left, use the island. If you're gonna go right, go that way. It just sets up for a straighter shot on both accounts, and that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a straight shot for your second shot. If you do it if you play the way he played it, you have to use a ton of curl to get it back over to the left. A little bit unlucky there. But as you can see, we were able to get the eagle and get to -13, which I think is I think is a good round in rookie. It'd have been nice to have gotten number 1. Just because that's the one I'm expecting to get. I wasn't expecting to get number 5, but it is what it is. It's a good qualifying round. Qualifying round isn't super important. You just want to make sure that you qualify, and then make sure you learn some lessons and stuff. But there you go. That's the way I would play those holes. Hope you find this helpful, and hope you guys have a good tournament. So good luck.